You can start with but, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll start with the but.
I always start with a but.
What? I just said that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. You don't hear me say that?
No.
I just said a joke.
I just said I'll start with the but. Oh, fuck it.
Welcome back to the channel. I'm Dan.
I'm Matt.
And we just watched Midsommar.
And it was spooky as fuck. Now, you've seen Hereditary, and this is the next film.
Yeah.
How would you say it compares, or does it at all?
In a lot of ways, it's very similar. They have similar themes like grief and stuff like that. And they both go for the slow burn with a big climax. And you can tell they're made by the same person. Ari Aster has like his signature shots, like his kind of upside down shot that he does.
Mm.
And just, you know, like certain ways that he would like do scene transitions and edit things. So like someone would be sat in the exact same place but in a new scene, and they just cut from one to the other and just the background changes. And
Yeah.
so you can tell it's by the same guy, but it is also, it's a very different aesthetically. Hereditary is very dark and dingy. This is very bright and all pastel colours.
This has a very impressive colour palette.
It does. It looks really unique. It almost juxtaposes the tone of the film.
Well, that's what makes this film stand out for me, because it's like you said, most horror films are set at night, or like it's very view restricting, like especially in this day and age where jump scares are the norm. I'd say this is like creepy in a different kind of way, in that most of it is set during the day.
I think that's a good way to describe it. It's not really scary, it's just eerie.
It's creepy,
It's
yeah.
unsettling, yeah.
To be fair, I've always found like horror films based on humans to be way more creepy than a ghost or a demon or something like that, because it feels more real. You know that people out there are capable of this sort of thing.
So Florence Pugh is the main actress in this film, and I don't know what you thought, but
I thought she was great.
I thought she knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Like, I would say that is probably the best performance I've seen so far this year.
She definitely plays the role of a teenager with a troubled past quite well.
There's a scene where she's on the phone to someone and her face is doing one thing, but her voice is doing another thing. And it's just, I was just sat there going like, fuck, like that's such good acting.
I'd say all of the cast did well with what they were given.
Yeah, with what they were, that's the thing, I think some of them weren't given that much. Like, I would have loved to have seen some more characterization for Will Poulter's character. He was kind of the comic relief, but not in like a every line he has is a joke kind of way.
I'd say out of the main group of people, he did and said the least, but he did actually do quite a good job in letting you know what his character's about and like his personality.
Yeah, I think he's a really good character actor, Will Poulter. Like, he plays the kind of nerd and the virgin in We're the Millers really well, and then just as convincingly in this, he plays the kind of dickish jock friend, I guess. And yeah, I don't know, I would have liked to have seen his character get some sort of an arc, or just have more lines in general. Whenever he was on, he killed it. Oh, the sound design I thought was really effective. Like, in the first 20 minutes, there's something that happens, and the sound design just hammers it home.
And it carries on throughout the film. Like, it's not really an impressive like sound piece. It's mostly like a repetition of the same beats, the same instrumentals, but it's done to reflect what is happening on screen very effectively. I'd
say it is impressive. Another thing as well is the sets, like the set design and the costumes and stuff, are really unique to this film.
Yeah, it does help it stand out from other horror films of recent times. This film is a slow burner. It is 2.5 hours long, give or take.
Yeah.
So if you're going into this film expecting like action right out the gate, then you're going to be disappointed, because there's a lot of build up before things start really taking a turn actually getting going. Yeah. I think probably the first hour, not that much happens. It's kept quite minimal. It's definitely building towards the climax. The climax is where everything starts going, whoa.
The setup's really good. And then from when they get to the festival to about like maybe the midpoint, it's all build up, just letting the characters kind of do things. But I think they could have cut 20 minutes from this film, maybe even more.
Yeah, probably. There's not a scene I can go back to and say that shouldn't be there for definite, because everything paid off at the end.
I think something that's important to note as well is that this isn't a horror film in the sense of like The Conjuring or something. I really respect A24 for letting their directors and their filmmakers basically do what they want without interfering, and I love that. But in terms of marketing, like Hereditary had it and now this had it, they've both been marketed as like kind of aggressive horror films, and like the audience scores on Rotten Tomatoes of those have been quite low, because I think people go in expecting one thing and they don't quite realise it's going to be more of like an artistic, slow burn, sort of, it's less of a mainstream horror and it's more of like a think piece kind of thing. And so it's important to know going in that it is a slow burn. It's almost as much of a mystery or a thriller or a suspense than it is of a horror. So that's just an important thing to note.
That being said, there are a couple of scenes in this that get particularly gory. Yeah, there's some bits where if you're not really into gore and you much prefer like the psychological horror, this is a good blend of both. I think we can find humour in it, but not in a like, this is hilarious. It's almost like uncomfortable, like, what am I seeing? Like,
yeah. There were some scenes, again, kind of early on with Will Poulter that were quite funny.
Well, that was almost a method of building you into a false sense of security, if anything. Mm-hmm. Because, like, what this film does is it doesn't let you know right off the gate what's going on. It's quite good at covering up, like, what is actually happening. So, like, you could go into this film, and the trailers did a good example as well, where you get an idea of what to expect, but you don't get any less of an impact once things start going into motion.
Yeah. Something I'd say as well is, like, you know, when you watch a lot of films like we do, you notice patterns, like, you can often predict where a film's going to go. Mm-hmm. But with this, like, there was some really shocking stuff, and it went in directions that I just genuinely didn't see coming. If you like to be surprised by a film, and not even in like a plot twist kind of way, just in the way that things unfold, then it's a really good film for that, because it really takes turns that you just don't expect.
I'm glad that this film did well, though, because Ari Aster has done, like, 2 seemingly really good horror films in recent times. It's not another case of Us, where I went in expecting another Get Out and I came out completely disappointed.
We're going to get fucking slaughtered for this opinion. But yeah,
I'm not even sorry.
Yeah, we weren't the biggest fan of Us. That's a different video.
Yeah. That's why I was happy, like, coming out of this, I'm feeling like, oh, that was actually a good watch. It makes me want to keep an eye on, like, further work he does down the line.
Yeah, I hope that it does well financially. I know it's not going to make, like, Avengers type money, but I hope it...
I don't think anything can make Avengers
money. No, I don't even know what the next film to make that kind of money is going to be. I just want people to support this kind of film, basically.
Yeah.
Because that's how they get made.
Sadly, they can go under the radar, but I feel like anyone who goes into this film will get something from it.
Critics really seem to be liking it, and like general audiences don't. And it seems lately like there is this kind of dichotomy between, like, okay, this is a film for critics and this is a film for fans. And that's why I find this hard to rate, because artistically, like, if you look at it as a piece of art that, you know, like I say, you look at the editing and the performances and stuff like that, mm-hmm. It's so well made. Like, maybe the best I've seen this year in terms of just how well crafted it is. But it's not a film that I would watch often, and it still does have its flaws, like we said, about the runtime. I mean, you could attribute that to just, like, personal taste even.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is one of those films that will be divisive. Ari Aster clearly did a lot of research as well into, like, Swedish festivals when writing this film, because there's a lot of stuff in here that's really, like, mad specific, and he must have... I mean, maybe he has a team that does it, I don't know, but it was just really well researched, that you could tell he'd done his homework on it and stuff like that. There is a point in the film where characters are kind of... So they start off and they do these weird rituals because it's sort of polite and they're there, but they get to a point where they sort of have to start doing weirder and weirder stuff, and it kind of crosses the threshold of, like, what's believable a little bit. You get to the point where you think, well, you would just refuse to do that.
But yeah, in total, I'd say it's definitely one of the more impressive films I've seen this year so far. It's like you said, it's really hard to rate, though. If I were to put everything into account and, like, sum it up in one, like, total verdict, probably around 7 out of 10.
I think I'll give it an 8. I just think I was just really impressed with not only how well made it was, but also how unique of a voice Ari Aster has. Yeah. It's just nice to see a filmmaker do something completely different to other people. So I think I'd probably give it an 8. He made some bold decisions and take some creative risks. So yeah, I'd give it an 8.
I agree. Just maybe a bit too long. But hey, personal taste.
Yeah.
Like you said. Stay tuned for more content.
Don't forget to drop us a like on this video or subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying it.
But stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.